the day of the rally, the day before the rally, we had an encounter with the police department, this janitor and cop. And what happened was we were walking down the street, which we thought was a public road because it had a sidewalk, and there was no street signs or no anything stating that, you know, cannot enter. They had two police, there was some orange vests on directing traffic and what have you. And so Rev just wanted to show us, you know, where the interest is. We had no intentions of going in, you know. So this janitor chief rolls up in his car, right? And he said, Rev, he said, you know, you can't go down the street. And he said, well, why not? It's a public street, right? Well, no, it's not a public street today. So basically, they made the rules as they decided every other hour, right? Which I thought was interesting. And so, so Red went over to the car and he said, okay, well, all right, fine. If we can't, you know, go over there, then we won't. And so somebody in our group, I think it was a young man or somebody said something, and the chief just says, oh, no, I'm getting my camera. Now, quite funny, the chief had the same camera I had. I thought that was interesting. The same camera, right? And so the chief, he jumps in his car, and all of a sudden, all these cops started coming from everywhere like roaches, you know? And I'm like, where's all these cops coming from? Now, see, in Fresno, I've been and got down with them, right? Because, you know, me and PD and Fresno, we just don't get along, right? So, so I'm like these cops are like walking like this, and we're walking back like this, real slow, you know. And I got my camera on the chief, he got his on me. We walking back like this, you know, and all these little cops started coming everywhere, and so like, they kind of surrounded us, right? And so I'm sitting there like, wow, this is interesting. Okay, we're gonna get arrested now, or what, you know? And so. Some of the young people were trying to talk to the chief about, you know, what is your policy, what is your procedure. He stated, well, you know, this is a private event, and this road is private, and there was no indication of a private road anywhere. There was, again, there was only people directing traffic that were there. And so we must have backpedaled almost a block before we were out of the zone that he wanted us in. And so he kept recording, you know, and I kept recording him, you know. We like 2 feet from each other, you know, recording one another, you know. and so I says, and now our people are hot. They upset. So
you know who wanted to cross that line? What was it, that it's Felon? His wife is in prison, she's an attorney. He wanted to cross it. I think Reverend Pigney stopped him. Well, maybe see what they would have done. They had done it.
And so once we got to that corner, more police started coming from everywhere, and they all just kind of stood, you know. And it made it so bad. They were creating this atmosphere. Mm-hmm. They were creating this negative energy that was there because our intention was just to walk down the sidewalk. And so, and that's why it's important for everybody to know their constitutional right. You have the right to assemble, you have the right, you know, freedom of speech, and those are the things that the Black Panthers understood because they were college students in Oakland, right? Because we were talking about that this morning, that people, America and the media painted the Black Panther Party as someone that's rugged, that's bad, that's negative, and it wasn't none of that. You know, the only thing the Black Panther Party wanted to do was control the politics of their community, educate their children, police their community. But then when Reagan came in and Hoover brother, Edgar Hoover, whatever his name was, you know, they were the people who created this negative stigma on Black people and progressive Black organizations. So that's why today, you know, we don't have the movement like we did in the 60s, right? Because of fear, right? Because the Patriot Act law and all this other stuff that's going on. I mean, anyone speak out against the government, I mean, they can just come and handcuff you, ride you off in a blue set.
They're terrorists.
Right. And so we come with all these labels now, you know, of labeling people now as they're bad people and they're troublemakers, they're, you know, they're anti-police, you know, outside agitators, they cause trouble, you know what I'm talking about, sister. Outside agitators, you know, they don't like white people, they don't like black people, you know, they're just everything you could think of to create a division amongst people, right? Because at the end of the day, right, it's about humanity.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It's about clean air, clean water, affordable health care, a living wage. That's what it's about.
Yeah.
But as long as they keep us infighting with one another through race, through gender, through sexism, all that type of stuff, then that's when they drive the wedge down between people, us as people. So as we had that encounter with the cops, right, we then went back down to their little party that they were having, the PGA. Mercedes-Benz was a big sponsor of this event, big sponsor. I mean, a lot of money. And they had donated, I believe it was like Rev said, 100 cars or something, where people could just drive, you know, just roll around, you know, gangster man.
Did you get yours?
Hey.
I didn't get one. Rev had us, I didn't. I would like to get one of them. But, you know, and I believe them, and it was another.
I don't think so, but right now we're
company,
at the presentation, you know, where there's a report on the Benton Harbor.
There was another
So,
company who was
yeah,
a big sponsor.
I'll have them call you as soon as possible.
Speaking to Rev after I got back to California, he stated to me that
yeah.
the whole event was a success from his standpoint of protests, that they didn't make the amount of money that they wanted to make.
Thanks.
It got international attention. People came from all over the country. That march, I say we had about at least 400 people that marched, you know, 2x2s all the way for about 5 miles. We had police escort. I've never heard of that. No. Fresno, we gotta pay for police escort. Rev get it for free. He gets it for free.
Oakland gets theirs free too.
Okay. And what was interesting was that on our way to we had the rally at City Hall that morning. Interesting, the chief of police went over and jammed Rev that morning, right? Because what I was trying to do, which Rev is kind of like he has supporters, right? And they're good people. But I think one of the things that I'm going to work on, because I'm going to try to go back to the next, if they have another PGA tour there or event, is that I'm going to be taking some of my staff over there to do a freedom school, so that we can educate them more about, you know, how to strategize about press conferences, how to, you know, how do you do a 4 or 5 mile march, and you know, you got to have line monitors. You know, it's important. If somebody fall out, you know, who's going to pick them up? You know, you got to have cars. And they had cars on the side, but it just showed me how much more advanced we were in Fresno, or say the valley here. Is we have a network here across the valley here when it comes to direct action with different situations, and so I was kind of really concerned about Rev's safety when I was there, because of the attention of the police, the magnitude of the media. They were able to get, before we got there, Ed, I don't know if I told you, but they were able to get about 12 pastors to come out publicly to have a press conference against Rev. And they stated, I looked at it, and they stated, they said, well, you know, we want everybody to understand that, you know, we support this event, and, you know, one person don't speak for all of us. So they were talking about Rev Pinkney. And so to show you how the politics in that city, how entrenched it was, they were able to get black pastors to sell out, right? And this event brought no revenue back to Benton Harbor. And that was the whole piece, the economic piece. Rev was saying that, you know, they're coming in here on our ground, but yet they're not doing anything for the people that's here.
Yeah.
Right? You say you're gonna give us, you say you're gonna provide 2,000 jobs, only 100 people got jobs, you know, at that, right? Also, Rev told me that the preachers that were there, they're inside where they're playing golf, raising money. And guess what they were doing? Selling liquor. Selling liquor inside the PGA. So they told them that they would give them 10% or whatever liquor sales they sell. See, and I didn't get a chance to, because of time. I wanted to kind of go through the communities and document how the houses look, the streets look, and it's really bad. It's far beyond the poverty that we see here. I mean, I know we have poverty in Fresno, and we're rated very high, but from what I seen, you know, to see young black men and young black women just standing on the corner, no jobs, no resources, nothing to do, parks not open. I didn't even see a swimming pool there. So I think they just use a water hose to make it hot or something. It's humid there. The streets are all evaporated. The houses are falling down. You know, and this is the point that Red was talking about how do you have the audacity to come in our community and not pay? You know. So then it takes me to a classes of peace. This event is just for a certain class of people.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, we're on this side of the track, y'all on that side of the track, you know. And I thought that was pretty amazing. Ed, do you have anything you want to say?
The thing that separated the two communities, some bridge there that we crossed, that separates the Anglos live on that side, you know, the blacks live on the other side, and like segregation. The other thing,
Right.
he sent me an email later on, and he did contact the ACLU attorney. Remember when that chief of police stopped us? I don't know what the status of that is. Also,
Right.
there was also some blacks who were bought off. Remember when we walked, there was a little carnival there,
Right.
and like they found little crumbs. I think it was Whirlpool.
Right.
To feed them for the day, but that's
Right.
really didn't help it. Then I thought I overheard you talking to him about the city council meeting. I don't know what they call them. I guess they're shouting matches when they meet. They're shouting matches because people are pissed. But those I guess is it all them or city council? I don't know what they're called. They don't have any power at all with the emergency manager. They have no power at all.
Right. Because see, what happened was over there, the governor came in and passed legislation that he can just come and take over everything. So he appoint who the commissioner is going to be and who's going to do that. So he's actually running his agenda when the people of Benton Harbor are supposed to vote who they want in. I found it also interesting how you can get a ticket there for driving across a vacant parking lot. I'm telling you, that is I never seen or heard anything like this in my life. That they will ticket you for driving across a vacant parking lot. You know.
I remember reading some reports when I guess just looking up Benton Harbor stuff, and it did give a report that the community was very glad that the PGA was there because the hotels were filled and restaurants were getting extra business, and you know, so kind of like they had a big welcome to the PGA, and obviously probably people with, you know, more narrow interests than the community that you're talking about, without jobs and not having the, you know, the recreation and all that for the young people. But it's interesting, you know, the main media, that's exactly, you know, their role is to only say one side of the story, right?
Yeah.
And so that's why it's important, I think, that people that are actually witnesses or participants, you know, of that, you know, bring back actual news, you know.
So I interviewed Sandy and